Good afternoon there, Rookie Camp Fantasy Football League. It's your good buddy George Bush Jr. here. This was another fun week in fantasy football. For some of you anyways.
Hey sucker, aren't you going to introduce me?
Shut your mouth, you whiny little turd. When it's your turn to talk, I will let you know. Besides, I know when you get your turn you are just going to blame me for this week's shitty performances, just like you do for everything else.
I got nothing. You were right. I do blame you for everything.
Anyways, before I was rudely interrupted by Mr. Storyteller. This week the number 1 ranked team, D. Diddy's Pimp Dogs, took on the Tar Babes. Jason said that the Dogs would, and I quote, easily beat the Tar Babes to remain number 1. Wrong. Kerry's waiver moves made certain that victory was possible for his 4th-ranked squad. He picked up Kyle Orton, who scored 24 points, and Clinton Portis, who scored 15. Wide receiver Deshaun Jackson scored 23 points to help the Tar Babes to the upset and their first victory of the season in a 90-77 score. So Barack, what BS do you have for us today?
Well, George, the Dogs had number 1 running back Chris Johnson, who was projected for 22 points, but scored only 1 against the Pittsburgh Steelers defense. Right now, I don't think it would be wise to start any running back against the Steelers. Tony Romo sucked, but still scored 16, and Jermichael Finley scored 14 to lead this disappointment of a team. I am totally shocked that nobody in the league took Dan up on his offer to trade Matt Forte for a top 10 wide receiver. What idiots you all must be.
You know, Barack, I can't help but wonder if you even told any truth there. The number 2 team in the league, as ranked by Rich, fell short of all predictions as they fell to the number 7 Ike Shuffle, 144-129. Rich caught an ass beating this week. Does anyone know what the Shuffle and I have in common? Anyone? We are both at the top of the all-time leaderboards in our professions. I have the highest approval rating of all time at 90%, and the Shuffle scored the highest point total ever with 144. In Jason's prediction, he states, and again I quote, Rich wins again and again. Jason also predicts the score to be a 24-point blowout. It must suck to be crappy at predicting games. Last-second moves by Justin ensured that the Shuffle would gain their first victory of the season. LaShawn McCoy led the team with 34 points, and last-second addition Michael Vick was impressive with 22. The Pittsburgh Steelers defense scored 24 points on Sunday and 4 points Sunday night in their sleep, to lead all defenses with 28 points. Who needs Adrian Peterson when your defense can score like that? Too bad Lee Evans, who Rich advised Justin to start this week, sucked major ass, scoring 0 points, while Malcolm Floyd scored 15 on the bench. San Diego's Antonio Gates caught 2 TD passes and scored 17 to lead the Shuffle to victory in the highest-scoring matchup in league history. It was particularly enjoyable for Justin to be drinking Rich's beer and eating Rich's food at Rich's house as he was beating Rich's ass. What a good host Rich was this past weekend. Too bad Casey's disgusting broken toe made Justin feel so sick. Barack, please tell us about the loser.
Well, Bushy, Rich will probably climb to the number 1 ranking after this, despite the ass beating he received. By scoring 129 points, Rich has opened up a huge lead in overall scoring versus the rest of the league, leading with 253 points in 2 games. Rich would have scored a ridiculous total had he actually played the stud, Jave Best, who scored 44 on the bench. Adrian Peterson led the starters with 28 points and Andre Johnson dropped 25. Mike Sims Walker finally got his head out of his ass after being traded from the Shuffle and scored 17 points. Rich left points on the bench, which cost him the game as well as the scoring record.
Shucks, Barack, that was the most truthful thing you have said on camera since you were elected. Number 3 Elway or the Highway rolled to victory, but were unimpressive with just 3 positions scoring in double figures. Elway rode Phillip Rivers' 23 points to victory with Dallas Clark adding 14. Other than kicker Garrett Hartley's 12 points, this team blew. I'm amazed that they are 2-0, but that they are, and in a tie for first place.
For the second week in a row, Tony's lack of fantasy ability showed as he took yet another ass beating and scored a season-low 53 points. Again, one can't help but wonder what Tony's season might look like had he paid more attention to the draft than the women he invited to it. Good job taking Farfu's score -3. Darren McFadden led the team with 18 points and Roddy White followed with 13. After scoring a season-low 53 points, they now face the team that scored the all-time high. I sure hope he pulls his head out of his ass before this season is over. His decision-making has been so piss-poor that I am beginning to think he may have voted for me. If Dan was a real friend, he would have slapped some sense into him at the draft. The Silent Knights also fell to 0-2 this week after losing to the 5th-ranked Monkeys 86-76. Once again, the 49ers defense did nothing, scoring just 1 point. Miles Austin and Matt Ryan were the only two players to score double figures, leading the team with 18 apiece. Marion Barber fell short of his 13-point prediction, scoring just 3 points. It's very surprising that he scored so few points this year, seeing as how all of his players had home games. Maybe next week, JP, but I doubt it.
While the Monkeys haven't been lighting up the scoreboard the way Rich has, they improved to 2-0 and continue their dominance as the all-time leader in wins. This is a team that proves an owner's consistency in managing a team. Last week, that idiot Marty McDraft said that dropping 2 guys for Tim Hightower was a dumb move. Well, Mr. Hightower shut him up by scoring 21 points, despite playing in a blowout loss. Peyton Manning again led the team with 22 points, and Carolina's Steve Smith played well for the second week in a row, scoring 12. What is unbelievable about this team is that Scott felt the need to drop Chris Cooley and Santonio Holmes to get Hightower, but he continues to start Ward, who is on one of the worst offenses in the league. Do you realize they are using their 4th-string quarterback? Sad thing is, even with a 4th-string quarterback, the Steelers are still better than the Browns. Every year, son.
In our final matchup, Jay Cutler's Dreamy fell to Northern Cal 115-77. Aaron Rodgers scored 26 points to lead the team and Peyton Hillis scored 11. Tony, do you even know who Peyton Hillis is? Probably not. Another weak performance from Dangelo Williams must have Van second-guessing his trade for Wes Welker. So far this season, Williams has amassed a huge 13 points, while Welker is sitting pretty with 27. Tough guy to depend on when the team also uses Jonathan Stewart so much. Well, that's it for me, gang. Remember to vote for me again in a couple years. I have all sorts of new ideas to promise you.
Sure, buddy. Good luck with that. Sunday morning, Northern Cal was offered a trade. Of course it was from Rich. The trade was for the stud jab best in Wes Welker for Reggie Wayne. Good thing you didn't make that deal. So far, Best is a TD scoring machine and Welker has been solid as well. But to be fair, I understand not wanting to trade a guy who gives you 15 points every week. But doing the math, Reggie Wayne has 30 points on the year and Best had 44 just last week alone. Welker has 27 points. This was the best trade for you to upgrade your RB spot. Nothing like the ridiculous Sean Green and Owen Daniels for no Sean Marino. Green isn't even playing more than 10 times a game. Anyways, you still won behind a huge day from Matt Schaub, who had 497 passing yards and 3 touchdowns for 35 points. Frank Gore also was a beast with 32 points on Monday Night Football. Nobody else broke double figures. Unless of course you count Mike Williams, who sat on the bench with 11. To wrap things up, I'd like to point out that the J-Real Predictions got just one game correct this week, and that was his own. Casey turned down a blockbuster trade, only to offer an unbalanced one. Tony is still nowhere to be found, and Scott is still winning. Good luck next week, and please remember to vote smarter in the next election.